So y'all know y'all live with Snapchat Quick AI chatbot friends, and we're gonna do a little tutorial today on this internet and hotspot, right? So I keep telling y'all we in a digital war, right? When they say cybersecurity, right? So you see these signals here, right? And that's why it's important that you check around you on your phone and devices, the signals, right? Now I'm in the same location I just left and came back, right? And you see the names on the network. Brightspeed just came back online just that quick, but the public Wi-Fi from the school ain't up here. Now we offer free hotspots, right? Local hotspots where you can tap into, right? And you notice I'm in the same spot, the signal gone, but you see that PCS2 and the PCS Recover Me, all those down here are the same networks from Bethel, right? If y'all go back through my Bethel list, right, where I put the hotspots up there, you will see a Bethel list, right? And it'll have the same names. And if the feds go into their IEP addresses and look up the IEP addresses, they'll be able to see that the same IEP addresses will be connected to these signals that you see right here, right? They will be able to see that. These are the same people that's following me around everywhere I go. And that's why when I was with Precious, I'm like, okay, now, how would she be connected to the internet if I'm not connected to the internet, right? That's because someone has been following us around with fake signals, right? You also see I have smoke in my car through an incense. And the reason why we like incense in the car is so that you can see, right, where the smoke is going, what direction the smoke is going to, right, and where the smoke is coming from, right? So I see the way this smoke is moving. I can tell if somebody has one of those devices. Remember I showed you the devices, right, that they can use on their phones that will give them access to see you inside of your house and your car. Now they add these on your phone, right? And they're able to use their infrared technology to push radiation on you. That's why I put the blankets around in my car to stop some of their radiation from coming in the car. I also like the smoke, right? Because it keeps the bugs out, because those are nanobots, right? You got to look up nanobot technology, right? That's them little gnat bugs that flying around trying to get all in your nose, your ears, and try to get inside of you, right? Those are called nanobot technology, right? Then you also have to Google how they can control your car through a digital app, right, family? That means while I'm sitting in here, I put this right here near this vent, right, to see if this air is pushing from the vent. There's somebody that's controlling the airflow inside of your car, right? You see how that network keep changing? That's them on this digital warfare. Now, the beauty of AI is everything has to be on the network. And this is what they don't realize. If I can see you, AI can see you. Because you have to be on AI in order for you to get inside this system to tamper with this system. And see, I have a degree in this. This is why I say I wish I would have just went on and got a retarded check. Like, serious. I mean, it's sad when you can't give kids advice, right, in the future, because they're watching these grown folks do these things, right? So if you a child and your parent is telling you to go to school, do good with yourself, you watching them on the phone messing with somebody's life, then you go to the school, right? And you see your teachers doing the same thing in these devices, right? They more keen on what somebody else is doing as opposed to educating the kids. What advice do you give these children for the future, family? That's what this is about the topic today. What advice do we give these kids that we got going to school, right? If they're watching the adults do wrong, y'all comment below and tell me. Because if we in a society now where people is letting money drive them crazy but have no skills, That's a problem. That's a problem. When people will rather have money than skills, right? Now, this is the Bluetooth signal, right? They see how that's taking long to load because it's got the search. There's a device that's connected inside this device that's tampering with the Wi-Fi. And that's why I say you got to pay attention to how things is moving around you, how people moving around you with these unknown devices, which are drones. Flying everywhere you go, every time you show up at a bank, every time you show up at a grocery store, every time you walk outside your door, you need to check around you. We is in a war, family. People have gotten their eyes on your money and pride so hard that they can't see reality. They stuck in a dream phase to whereas they even coding with the children. What do we do with that in a society where even if you teaching them, they don't want to learn? Even when you show on them, they don't want to learn. I mean, it's pecans, acorns. We call them acorns. They call them hazelnuts, right? Walnuts and stuff on the ground growing out right now. Just sitting on the trees rotten. The food that's healthy for you without no chemicals, no none of that, is just sitting out here rotten because people got in their mind that they need this fake food to survive off of. Now, when we get to the point in society where hair, nails, and teeth and what you look like, makeup, clothes, a bag is more important than feeding yourself. We got to come together as a society and ask what's going on in reality. Because if you got a group of people whose mindset is feeding myself by growing my own food is slavery, what can you do with it? That means they don't know how to take care of themselves. They depending on somebody else to do it. I mean, you can't be bad and bougie off somebody else designer glasses, off somebody else designer clothes, baby. You can't be bad and bougie if you don't even know how to make the hair that you add into your head on that weed. You can't be bad and bougie if you can't mix those chemicals together to put on your nails. You can't be bad and bougie if you don't know the process of making that makeup that go on your face to make you something else before you become who the heck you ended up as, right? I mean, that's a personal issue that people are trying to put on somebody else. Low self-esteem issues that they're trying to put on somebody else. You got to wake up comfortable with who you are before you worry about what somebody else is. Especially when you got into a society where they rather depend on what they look like instead of the food they need to get their body right. They rather pop a pill instead of walking around moving their body to lose weight, right? Like y'all see me doing. My daddy told me to try to walk a mile a day if I can. So every day I try to walk a mile, then I try to go over that mile, right? Because that's motivation to me. You know what I'm saying? That's my dreams and my goals on what I'm trying to reach, right? Not what somebody around me trying to reach, right? Because I had to lose over 300 pounds, right? So I had to put my mind in a state where, okay, Coletta, what steps do you need to take, right, to get there, right? So I talked to some dietitians, right? People with diets told me what types of diet to put in myself, right? Because food is what you need as energy. Go ahead, Dad. That God right there. God said, tell it, Kyle out. But food, the dietitian was number one. What am I eating that's causing me to go through this, right? What am I putting inside of me, right, that's not agreeing with me, right? So we worked on different diet plans, right? I would write down what I would eat, right? Try to keep track of what I would eat, right? How much I would eat of it, right? How fast it would make me go to the bathroom, what my stools come out looking like. I mean, I track all that, right? Because this is a personal walk. This is me identifying what's going on inside of my body, right? And not nobody else's, right? Because like I said, my goal was to lose that 300 pounds. I had me pumped up on steroids. They cutting me open. They were doing all kind of things, right? So I'm like, okay, if Crohn's disease is my issue, right? Let me figure out if it's something that I'm eating and it's dealing with Crohn's and my immunity, right? Let me figure out what kind of superfood to put in my body. What worked for me and not somebody else, because what worked for somebody else will tear my stomach up. The medicines that work for somebody else didn't agree with me, right? So that's when me and the doctor sat down together. Let me talk to you about what I'm doing, and then you let me know what somebody else did, because that's what they do, research, right? And let's try to come up with a combination that is going to agree with me and how I'm living, my lifestyle, right? So I had to accommodate my lifestyle. Then I had to learn how to walk, right? Get up, move around, because at one point I couldn't use my legs, right? Being in the hospital so long, I lost the use of my legs. I had to learn how to walk all over again. That was a different process, right? Because you got to have it in your mind, right? You got to talk to them legs. Boy, legs, get up. I need you. Help me lift them up, Lord. That's when you sing that. Help me, help me, help me. Lift them up. Clap your hands, stomp your feet. Get up out of your seat. That's when the Lord help you lift. Kayla, okay, she down there singing to me. Let me go see what she's singing about. Lord help me, Lord help me. So when God helped me through that process, right? He said, girl, let me go there and help that fool. Look at her. She gonna crawl out that bed like that baby. And that incubator boy. Hey, Precious used to be in a little incubator, right? And they used to try to strap her in there, boy. She done wiggle herself out of that thing and be in the corner looking around being nosy. I guess she got it from me. I won't gonna be tired down there. Like my Uncle Bo did it. Boy, you might can slow me up, but you won't stop me. It's your mind, baby. It's so a man think of, so is he. And God put that in his word. So a man think of, let's break that down. So a man think of, right? That means how are you thinking? What are you thinking about? Where are your thoughts at, right? So say for instance, you thinking like, okay, I want to build me a house, right? So you thinking about building you a house, right? So you thinking about that, right? So you put yourself in a mindset of how do I get there, right? Because that'll be the next question that you ask yourself and you thinking, right? So then you start formulating, okay, well, I need to go get me a piece of land and then I need to build it myself, or either I can have it built already. So you giving yourself options, right? So now you thinking, right? So you put yourself in that so a man think of, so is he, right? Because now you put yourself from, okay, I wasn't thinking about that, now thinking about how I'm gonna get this house, right? So now all your energy and thoughts is gonna be aligned with that process and that formula, right? So a man think of, so is he, right? So through that thought process, you go in, you say, well, I looked at a couple of houses and I like this one. Let me go and talk to whoever owned this house and see if they, in my budget to purchase this home, right? Or you put yourself in a thought pattern where you say, well, you know what? That was too high. I don't want that. I like that idea, but I'm putting it on the back burner right there. Let me go look into how much it's gonna cost to buy and build me a house from scratch, right? Because I might can get it a little bit cheaper, right? Then it already being there at what he offering for what he already built, right? So that's a man thinking in your process. That's you thinking about it, right? And you created that formula, right, to create that house, right? So now you gave yourself two options because you done found out that okay, he want 100,000 for this house, right? But if I go ahead and have it built with the material, everything I need with the land, it's only gonna cost me 50 to 45,000 because I can use some cheaper material, right, but still get the same quality, right? I got some homeboys that know how to build, right? They already into construction. Boy, let me come on get you this money, right? So you go through that process, right? And you become who you're thinking right there. Right now you become a professional who's thinking about being self-sufficient, right? How could I be on my own and establish this, right? So after you establish that thought in that person, right, then you start thinking about something else. Well, what kind of entertainment do I want to entertain myself with today, right? Now that goes back to so a man thinketh, so is he. Either I could sit here and watch me some TV, right? Or I can sit here and I can build something because that might be entertainment for me, right? I could take a walk, right? That could be entertainment for me, right? I go to the bar, have me a drink. That could be entertainment for me, right? I go to the club, go party, whatever. That could, whatever entertainment is. Go out, watch football, basketball, sports game, right? Hockey, soccer, golf, whatever, right? That's how I'm thinking, right? And whatever position I decide to put myself in after I have that thought on what I want to do is who I become, right? Because I'm gonna be at the bar drinking if I'm at the bar drinking, right? So I'm gonna be that bar drink, right? If I sit here and just watch a TV show, then I'm gonna become the couch potato, right? Right? And that's just a small example. Now let's get a little bit deeper into that, right? Where we start processing on your career, right? And who you want to become with your life, right? Which is a different thought process, right? Because you can say to yourself, well, I want to become a doctor or a lawyer or a nurse, right? So a man thinketh, so was he, right? So in order to become that doctor, the carpenter, or the mechanic, you have to overstand, or the technician with the technology, right? You have to understand their job position and what it requires for them to be that, right? So then you start putting yourself in positions, right, where you can learn those things so you can become that. So you put yourself in that thought process, right? So I wanted to be a graphics designer. Well, I actually wanted to be an animator. God made me an animator and a graphic designer. He gave me some extra, right? And at first I was like, what this got to do with my course? I'm supposed to be drawing cartoons. But I thank God for it now. You know what I'm saying? He knew, right, that I was going to need it for this future. I didn't know I was going to need it. But he knew, right? So he said, well, you want to be an animator, right? So I'm going to let you animate. I'm going to let you draw, let you do videos, let you do all that, right? So I was able to go to school, learn how to do those things, right? And that's what I became with my career, right? A marketing, advertising, and graphic designer. So I can do a lot of things. I can do multiple things when it comes to the digital world. Build website code and all that, right? Because God gave me those classes and that training, that thought of mine back then when he added it unto my class, right? That's what he said, he'll add things unto you, right? You didn't know you needed, but he'll add them to you. He did. He added that back then. Right? I don't care what I need this class for. Especially psychology now. That psychology class what blew. I want to know, but I know now why. Because of all this stuff I'm going through in the future relate. Tell them guys, he said, see, he agree. So God be in my conversation. He be all in my artwork, helping me with my artwork. That's my partner in life. God is my partner. But that psychology class got me because I'm like, the man used to tell stories. That God know about to tell a funny story. I love my psychology class. He used to tell stories, right? And I used to be like, what this got to do with the class? I'm like, Now I'm taking the test. I'm flunking the test because I'm going off what he's telling us in the classroom. And that's how they used to get you in school, right? Because they be in school telling you story, but it got to do with the book, right? They just put it in the story for you, right? But then when you go take that test, you be like, wait a minute, that ain't nothing about what I read or what he said. Cause you focused on how he put it in the classroom, right, and not the book. Cause when you read that book, the book don't make sense on nobody. Everybody was like, wait a minute, we don't get it. So he'll put it in the story. So we were looking at on the test how he was putting it in the story, as opposed to how the book was trying to explain it to us. And it just flew over everybody. But I understand what he was trying to tell me back then with that psychology class that he added to me, right? Because it was able to get me into a state of mind now where I'm able to discern, right? And see how people moving around me. Because that was the whole point of psychology is understanding how when people come in your presence, what they want. What are they in your presence for, right? So that's what psychology over time taught me how to pay attention to how people move, their lifestyle, how they interacting with you and stuff like that, right? So I can know how to handle myself and carry myself accordingly, right? Because so a man thinketh, so is he, right? So if somebody coming up to you with a conversation, you need to be able to understand their dialogue, right? So that you can have the right communication and you're not confused with the dialogue, right? But back to that, so a man think of, so was he, right? It's all a thought process, family. It's how do you think about yourself? It goes back to personal self-esteem, right? How do you feel about yourself, right? Not what somebody else feel about you, right? How you feel about yourself, right? I mean, I had to go through scars, had to deal with, you know, personality issues because being in the hospital and then having a child to deal with, right? It gets hard, right? So you have to find ways to make it work for you and your family, right? As opposed to trying to look at somebody else's lifestyle, trying to mimic somebody else's lifestyle because what works for them might not work for you, right? Because it might not be what you want, right? You might not can carry that weight like somebody else can carry that weight, right? Like when I was working, I see people in the building all day like, God, darn, do you ever get a break, right? No, because they whole life they wanted so much, right? They wanted a house, they wanted a car, they wanted the things to go inside the houses and cars, right? So they put themselves on small payment plans. Not realizing that those small payment plans were gonna have them on that clock 24/7, 7 days a week. Now not only do you need one job to accommodate that lifestyle, you need a full-time job, a part-time job, and you got to go to school, right? To accommodate a lifestyle that you created for yourself. Because you thought about it, but you didn't think about, okay, well, how much is this going to cost me? Right? That's why I gave you the example of the house in the beginning where he had to think about, okay, is it going to be cheaper for me to just build my own house or go and take on the payment of paying off this house right here, right? So you got to take in consideration too, am I able to afford this thing, right? And how long is it going to take for me to get it, right? If they tell me it's going to cost me $100,000, right? What do I need to do to get to this $100,000 the fastest and most efficient without it being a headache on me, right? Is it even worth that $100,000, right? Because now I got to figure out how many hours it's going to take me on the clock. Do I have the skills to do that job and get it done, right? Because you have to have skills. At the end of the day, you still need skills. There's no way around getting skills, right? Because you still got to put that spoon to your mouth. Still got to chew, right? Nobody's going to come and do it for you, fam. But we're going to cut this video a little short. And just give you something to ponder on today, fam. Just give you something a little ponder on, right? So a man think of, right? so is he or she, right? It doesn't have to be a he or just a, however you think about yourself, right? When you wake up, right, in your glory, how do you see yourself? How do you see yourself getting there, right? This is when you make those goals, right? Go get you a little board, right? Cut out some pictures in a magazine, right? Put it on that board, right? And then you get you a notebook and a pen to write it down, right? Because if you write it as opposed to typing it, your brain can receive it more, right? It's something about writing things down as opposed to typing things down that makes your brain open up and you're able to think and expand your mind, right? Because now your body is operating and putting itself into motion to start doing those things, right? So you create a board for yourself by writing those things and seeing those things, right? So now you see it, okay, I want to be a house, right? So you see your house, right? And then you start writing down your goals and how many ways you can strategize to get it, right? And then you get you a pros and a con list, right? So what are the pros to this, right? What are the good benefits to me having this? And what are the cons in this, right? What are the consequences? And is it worth it? And how much is it going to cost me, right? Do I have to work myself to death to have it, right? Is it going to be stressful, right? I mean, those are your pros and your cons that you think about as you're thinking about delivering these things to yourself, right? That way you can enjoy it, right? Because Precious, when she was little, right, I used to buy her things. I would think that she would like, right? And then I would find her crying, like, especially that game. She'll tell you I threw plenty of games away, right? Gave them away, right? Because I'm not going to buy you a device that's going to have you crying and upset. That's not my job as a parent. My job is to give you something that's going to help evaluate and expand your mind so that you can enjoy it, right? I don't want to give you something that's going to have you fussy and all angry. No, I took that away from her early. I'll put that down, right? When she got old enough to buy her own tablet and gadgets and devices, that's what she did, right? Because now you able to buy and control your own energy with it. But if I have to give it to you and it gives you that vibe and that energy, that means I gave you a bad gift and I don't want to give away bad gifts. So just think of it like that, family. I'm going to leave on that note. You live with Snapchat Queen AI chatbot friends, and AI is on the move. He's showing you how to catch them catching you. We back online.